Here's some of my lemongrass and lemon basil that we've started as seedlings. Coming up here, you'll see some of our herbs. This is Thai basil. This is matured a full year, that's thyme. Here, our dill has turned out very nice. It came up nicely as seedlings. But you'll see things in all different stages. Even though we start them at the same time, plants come up and they come up either very quickly, they'll come up within 2 or 3 days, or some will take 7 to 10 to 15 days even. That's mostly our pepper plants. I like to call them jerks because they just don't want to come up. In here we have our incubator, which I know most of you don't have. Let me just remove the ugly curtain, and inside you'll see that our lipstick peppers, they're very sensitive, and they've just started coming up, and they've been in here for 5 days. In our incubator, we're able to keep the temperature fairly steady as well as the humidity. I'm going to leave them in today because it's so cold, and here inside we're still only at 61, so they're not coming out. The lipstick peppers that we started a week before those, look at them, they're doing great. But at the same time, we have absolutely no respondito from our sweet banana peppers. So we're all over the place. I don't want you to feel discouraged, so I wanted to show you a whole bunch of different plants that just decide to seed and come up, and you won't get 100% germination at all. Here's a better set. This is our mortgage lifter tomatoes. They did much better. We probably have closer to 80%. But here you can see, I don't even think I have 50%. And these are our spinach. Some marigolds. And for a surprise, our sunflowers are going crazy. We bought a huge different mix of early ones, late ones, different varieties of heights from 2 to 9 foot. So lots of different types of plants here, both for food and just for enjoyment. Here's a variety of our peppers, Hungarians, for the most part here. And they are very slow to mature. We started those over a month ago, and that's all the farther they are. So please don't be discouraged. Sometimes we start in the seedling packs. You just saw them. Little plug packs. They come in different sizes. These happen to be a little bit less wide and less deep, so there may be 200 to 300 in a pack, and we cut ours because they become so difficult to deal with and they get floppy, so we cut them right in the middle, and we fill them with a sterilized potting mix to make sure that nothing is in them. There's no bugs, there's no disease inside the dirt. So we start with a fresh potting mix. We fill them, but not heavily, lightly packing them down, putting a seed in each, and then covering with a layer and just patting that down. Something you'll want to really understand is that watering from below for seedlings is very important. You want to keep it moist but not sopping wet, and not from the top. They'll have a difficulty dealing with all that heavy watering. They're just seedlings. They want to pull down into the dirt. You'll get a good plug of roots and dirt. You don't want to water from the top because the leaves don't absorb any of the water. That's not where it happens. It's down here. Once your seedlings are up and you have your first leaves, they need sun. So that's why we take them out of the incubator and we make sure that they're getting sun. Now in your house, because you most likely don't have a greenhouse, you have to stay in the house, not outside with only 2 leaves. So in the house, in a sunny window, if you can get at least 6 hours of sunlight, 8 to 10 is better. And you'll want to have a covering over it to keep that moisture in. And again, it's going to depend on the type of seed you have. Try to get the same variety in one of your planters. Sometimes you get a bunch of 6-pack with a lid and a tray for underneath, so that's perfect. The tray underneath is where you put your water. Put the 6-packs with your seedlings in there. Let them water from below, and then you'll have a tray cover. So we don't use that type of variety anymore since we built the greenhouse last year. But here's something fun. We're really into recycling. So oftentimes you might have a container left over that had a plastic lid. Why not? We aren't using the plastic lid, but if you wanted to start your seeds in here, you have to make sure you've washed, bleached, and then thoroughly rinsed in hot water. So there's no contamination in whatever container you're going to use. Use that fresh, sterilized new dirt or even peat to start your seedlings, and then the plastic cover. This you would have difficulty unless you went ahead, and this is what we're going to do too, is we're going to poke a few holes in the bottom, and you can use a screwdriver. I wouldn't use a knife. You know, things get slippery. Even scissors can be dangerous, but if you're very careful. A great tool would be an awl, and that's not A-L-L, but now for some reason I can't remember how to spell awl. Isn't that embarrassing? Well, all right, maybe I'll cut that. So you could use an awl or even a very, I don't want to say anything sharp. Just be careful if you're poking holes in that container. Then you use the cover to keep that humidity in. I'm going to zone right over into our incubator. You can see the humidity already. It's just kind of soaked all through there. So it's very humid in there, and they'll enjoy that with the extra warmth. And I am leaving them in the incubator for a while. Now the incubator's at 66. And like I said, inside the greenhouse, we're still at 61. This is a really rough day. The last 2 days we had snow, so it's been rough here. Oh, it's very wet here in the greenhouse. I'm going to have to be careful with this. Today it's really windy, so I won't be putting plants outside. And the winds are supposed to get up to 20 miles today. 20 miles an hour. All right, for your seedlings, once they get to this point, and you're maybe in a plug planter, if you choose a tiny plug planter, you're going to transfer over into the 6-inch pot, or a 3-inch pot, or 4-inch pot. Okay? If you started in the 6-inch pot, those are great to keep until you can plant them outside. Okay? So let's look at some that have secondary and tertiary leaves. So I'm going to come back over here and see if I can find any examples. With my luck. Hooray! All right, so our cabbage has already moved on to its secondary and tertiary leaves. Its first leaves are still there, but they've grown. And the tertiary leaves are up. And those are the ones that are going to now, the most part, we still keep moist soil, but the plant no longer needs that dome of humidity. What the plant needs is light, because now it's performing its photosynthesis through the leaves, taking sunlight, making food. Here's our alyssum gone. Well, it's already gone to flower, which is nice. So its first seedling leaves are right there. See that? And secondary and tertiary are already out on that. Here's some eggplant. So still one of the very tiniest stages. We have our first leaves that usually fall off by now. The secondary leaves are right there. This one still has its first, its secondary, and we're going to get some tertiary or third leaves. Here's my sage, another good example. The first leaves are still there. Secondary and tertiary leaves are on it. All right, so those are in larger pots. I'm going to put them right in the ground. Here, a different variety of plug planter. Those are going to have to be transferred. Let's see, those are sweet Italian peppers and bull corno di toro, so the horn of the bull. Those are large sweet peppers as well. They're going to have to transfer over into probably 4-inch pots before they're ready to go into the ground. All right, so seedlings need to get those second and third leaves before you start putting them outside. That's the next important step, is hardening off. So these plants, once it gets warmer outside today, we're going to take them and set them outside in a fairly protected spot right outside up against the greenhouse wall. We have black mats out that help generate the sun to keep that heat right up next to the plant. Then we'll put some of the hardier ones out on the table. Like these tomato plants are still fairly protected. We have kept them in bins. We're trying something just totally different. Putting them in drink cups keeps them individually stood up better, gives them a better root system. At least that's what we've heard. We're trying different things. My husband likes to say, hey, everything's an experiment here. which it really is. Okay, so I know you're trying something new, right? You most likely didn't go to a horticulture school, or you wouldn't actually be watching this. So we're doing a few 6-pack tomatoes. If you'll notice, these are all 6-packs. We have mortgage lifters, which are the very large ones. We have beefsteaks. We have early girls, and they're doing gangbusters. So an early girl will most likely give tomato in July or even June. We had a little bit of wind damage because it's just been really crazy, and I can hear the wind picking up. So what vegetables I have out, I might be bringing them back in. And they're down there for sale out by the road, but I might bring them in because the wind is picking up so bad. All right, I hope that's helped you a bit. Starting your seedlings. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and I'll be glad to answer them for you. Also, make sure that you just give yourself a break. If you need to go to your local nursery, please go and buy those mature plants. If your seedlings don't work, it's a little late now to start. If you're looking at about the same time I am right now in April, it's a little late to start at the end of April, at least in our zone up here in 5A. However, well, go out there and support your local nursery. They're there for you. They can answer a lot of questions. They have huge varieties. But once the season takes off, people get real excited. So in the next 2 weeks, you'd be buying those plants, maybe 3 weeks. But they will go quickly. One more thing is make sure you have a spot outside you're ready to plant in, whether it's planters or direct into the ground. Make sure that that's ready. Don't wait until you have the plants. So, like even things like that. Planters that size will hold probably 2 tomatoes. 3 cucumber plants, but it'll need a backer to climb. And 2 zucchini at most, but they will get huge and hang off the side, so you'll want to plant them way out on either side of that, like way out on the sides. Plant them to give them some room. All right, everybody, get those plants started. I'm so excited for you. Let's get going. The most delicious experiment, gardening.